Once some process begins to scale, it often requires more than just gut feelings to understand whether you are on the right track. Think of it like navigating in a fog. You need instruments to see clearly. Today, we are going to explore how to transform raw data into the kind of clarity that drives confident decision making. Whether you're tracking your morning runs, managing a startup, or overseeing a multinational corporation, the fundamental challenge remains the same. How do you measure what matters without drowning in numbers? The main way of getting insights from data can broadly be categorized as summary statistics, plots, and models. Summary statistics are numerical values such as the mean or standard deviation. Plots are some visualization of data. And finally, models in this context are statistical machine learning tools such as regression. For this video's theory, we are going to quickly cover two key concepts that relate to dashboards. Firstly, fundamentally what models are, and secondly, what a KPI is. Broadly speaking, in science, a model is a representation of reality. For example, a physics model tries to simulate some aspect of physics in the real world, or an economic model tries to simulate some aspect of an economy. In the context of data, I like to think of machine learning models as a sort of general-purpose tool for representing reality in a simplified way. This allows for specific problems for which we have enough data to be simulated, and from these simulations we can make predictions. Adding models to dashboards effectively can become quite advanced, but it could lead to impactful results. Next, KPIs or key performance indicators are measurements that try to capture the most important aspects of success. For an organization, whatever is set as the KPI sets the tone for what should be optimized to make progress towards achieving the organization's objectives. It is important to update and review the success of KPIs so that they truly reflect the organization's objectives. Unsupervised KPIs can lead to an obsessive focus on metrics, potentially at the expense of long-term prosperity. In a personal context, an individual might track steps, sleep, or savings to optimize their health or wealth. On the other hand, a for-profit organization would probably have net profit as a KPI. However, other more indirect measures can also be measured and labeled as critical to the success of the organization, such as the average customer review, the market share held, the return on equity, the revenue, or even the average employee satisfaction rating. Ultimately, KPIs are mainly just statistics that management has decided should be worked on or kept in mind. Which statistics are chosen to be labeled as KPIs ultimately comes down to the style and values of management. For our application, we are going to create a live dashboard. Business dashboards are user interfaces that provide an overview of business metrics. A good dashboard should be insightful, which means that, if relevant, it should suggest courses of action. By looking at the dashboard, it should be clear whether there are any problems that need to be addressed and where these problems originate. Exactly how this is done will come down to the specific business and industry, but it could be as simple as a red warning sign that shows when a value falls below a certain threshold. If the dashboard end user is less of an expert, the warning may need to be accompanied by instructions on what should be done to mitigate the identified issue. For our case study, however, we are going to simplify a little and just make our dashboard informative, which means our dashboard will provide interesting information which may or may not suggest a clear course of action. We are going to create two pages, one to collect data and one as a dashboard to visualize the data. The data collection UI will allow anyone to submit a single block of text. This text will be stored in our relational database along with the timestamp of when it was recorded. The dashboard will include three graphs, namely a histogram showing a distribution of the character count of each submitted text, a network diagram where words are treated as nodes and are connected based on which words follow each other in a sentence, and finally a scatter plot with a regression line showing the relationship between the sentiment and the character count of the text. The last visual, the scatter plot, will make use of two models, a regression model and a sentiment analysis model. Currently, we are recalculating the metrics each time the dashboard loads. This is good for testing and getting started, but very inefficient long term. In production, we might only do the calculations periodically with a scheduler, or we could stage parts of the calculations for existing data. For example, we could store the sentiment analysis score and the character count of the text in the database table that stores the raw text as two new columns. To conclude, a dashboard is not merely a screen of numbers, it's a lens that reveals patterns, opportunities, and occasionally the unexpected. The act of measuring is itself a form of decision making, and the clarity that it brings can be valuable in both business and personal life. When we choose what to observe, we indirectly choose what to improve. Whether you manage a team, run a startup, or simply enjoy improving yourself, consider how a thoughtfully designed dashboard might illuminate your next step.